very welcome to this afternoon's webinar about AI and Monday.com with a large portion of help from make.com. So over my shoulder there. So as I tried to tell you before, we have updated our webinar platform, hence the technical difficulties from my side there. So we have a question section. It should be in your panel somewhere along the right side. Please bombard me with all your questions. If I feel that I can take it right away, I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. Otherwise, towards the end of this session, we will have a Q&A section, and I will make completely sure that everyone leaves here this evening with an answer. Or this morning, because as I can actually see, we have people from all over the world in here. So it's about 4 minutes past, which is an Omnitas kind of standard for let's get started. So again, very much welcome. We are really delighted to have all of you here tonight when we are relaunching basically our webinar series. So after half a year of pause, we're now back online and we'll bombard you with hopefully some really nice content for, well, every week. So make sure to follow our newsletter and sign up for the ones you feel are interesting. So, but let's get into tonight. So, well, we are at the agenda point. So what are we going to do tonight? So we're going to talk just quickly about SoMe and some trends in there, so we actually know why are we delving into what we're delving into tonight. We're going to go through what do you need to have to be able to do this yourselves. We're going to check some basics into Make. So what we're basically going to do is turn me into your everyday normal TV chef. I'm going to do some basic things, show you the concepts. We're going to do them together. And then I'm basically going to show you what I have prepared. So I hope that will be great. Then we're going to end up with a Q&A section. And we, as I said, we will make sure you have all your answers. So SoMe or social media, that just might be the way forward. But here are a few things to actually think about. And today we are going to talk about how to automate content creation for social media. And why is that relevant? Well, a lot of marketing departments out there, they spend a lot of time on planning and executing and publishing and creating their social media content. Today, we have actually got an assistant just basically the last year when AI have scaled up and gotten better and better. So this is going to be all about how can we leverage that and maybe minimize the time we actually spend on creating and uploading and doing all of those things and try to automate that as best as we can. But we also see another trend, especially on LinkedIn. You have probably seen it, all of you. We have lots of salespeople out there connecting with everyone and trying to leveraging a pitch, right? We've all seen it. What we've actually found and what some studies have found is that just connecting with everyone you can basically find and leveraging a pitch, that doesn't really make you interesting. But having 2 cents into a question, that might make you interesting, and it might help you to become kind of a thought leader on a subject matter. This is so when you can be very concise in how you publish and how you use LinkedIn, not only as a way to basically try to force yourself upon leads, but actually deliver good content, you will actually be able to see a stream. I have several friends of mine and employees of my own company that leverage this to very, very good effect. So this is why that is relevant. But a few things that we actually need to keep in mind. The AI is an assistant. It is not your replacement. You can't take yourself completely out of the picture just yet. And AI might actually deliver content that's not 100% up to snuff. So we actually need to check it afterwards. But at least we need not do most of the grunt work, right? And of course, one big thing, as I was talking about, is that all the planning and all the everything. And the big problem here is that we usually do planning in one setting, then we do content creation, and then we need to go back and make sure it's published on the right date or at the right time. How about if we can actually do everything in one go and just turn it to the automation, and the automation will execute on the correct time and date? Yeah, that, in my world, that's a good thing. So that's actually what we're going to take a look at today. A few things that you are going to need. One, you are going to need a Make account. On my screen here, I have shared you a link, and my trusty producer will also make sure that you get a handout in the system in just a little bit, which you can download, where you also have the links. And that link is special. It doesn't give you a Make free license. It actually gives you a Make Pro license for the coming 30 days from when you activate it at a pro level. So it's actually a rather nice little thing. So gift from me to you. Please use it. You're also gonna need access to the OpenAI API, which you can get from platform.openai.com. It costs a minuscule amount, and it only costs for the amount you use. And yeah, it's you're gonna strive to reach $1 in a month. That's what we're talking about. And here's a top tip from me: when you get into it and you actually start trying it out, actually make an advance payment, and that can be for $1. So any size goes, but that will actually give you direct access to the ChatGPT 4 API, which is of course far superior to the ChatGPT 3.5 API. So have that in mind. So if you actually do just a small advance payment of like any sum of money, there you go. You get access to the latest API for ChatGPT. You will also, for this demonstration, need a Monday.com account. Yes, you can theoretically use a spreadsheet even to do this, but from our example standpoint, I'm a Monday expert. I love Monday.com, so I will use Monday.com. So you will need an account for that, at least if you want to follow along precisely. And I've also left my affiliate link. So this means, yeah, if you are new to Monday and you sign up to that, yeah, I will get a small percentage of money from that. Thank you, if so. But it provides you a free trial on a pro level. You will also need your social media accounts. Today, we're only gonna use LinkedIn, but it's basically the exact same principle, whichever of them you use. So if it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, TikTok, you name it, you go. It's gonna be the same thing. But from today's perspective, we're talking about LinkedIn. I hope everyone is with me so far. But before we get going, because it's very soon time, because we are don't have hours on hours today. But I want to ask you a few questions. So, how many of you are Make users today? And I will pull up in here right now. So. If you could please answer that, that will also help me as to where I should put the technical speak, basically. Okay, so we have a majority of Make users. Awesome. This will be really easy for you, but we still have a good portion of people that's actually not that knowledgeable about Make. So we'll start at the basics. And yeah, the answers are still coming in, and we have a wide majority of Make users. Awesome. This will be completely easy for you. I also have one other question, just because I'm really interested in it. How many of you do use AI in your workflows today? So for work, basically. I'm gonna pop the question now. No one either uses it or no. Oh, there we go. We got our first answers coming in now. So we'll see what goes with that one. So yeah, so most people actually have tested it out and are trying to use AI. Perfect. Then I really hope that tonight's content is going to be of use for you. Everyone uses AI. Awesome. Okay, so we have some demo time for us. So I'm gonna switch to my screen, and so let's start in Monday, because that's the point where we're gonna start off tonight. So as I said, I've been a bit of a chef or a TV chef, so I have prepared something for you. So I have a rather simplistic board in here, where basically I have a very, very easy workflow. I have my new post that's, I'm gonna create. I have my approved ones and I have my published ones. Why do I have approved ones? Well, basically to tell the system, so these are ready to be published. I just call them approved. You may call them whatever. As we see, I'm in a view, so there's actually quite a few more columns than actually being shown right now on screen. There's actually 21 hidden columns right now. So let's switch to our main table and see what's in there. So basically we have a status, which goes well along with our groups. In this case, because this is almost direct copy of what we have in our own system at Omnitas. So here we can choose, is this a personal post or an Omnitas post? So company post. We're not going to use this, for example. We also have what language should we post in, what topic do we have, so what are we going to prompt our AI with. We can have call to action ideas, who's doing the publishing basically, and what date are we then gonna schedule this for. I hope everyone in here has been into Monday. Very easy. How do we schedule something? Well, we put a date on it, and that's that. We have an output field where the AI can output its information when it's done. And then we have also platform selectors and stuff like that. We also have two buttons, one to generate content and one to post now. And the post now button I've added in so we can actually take a look on what would this look if we don't schedule it, but rather we want to post something directly. So then on the end, I also have a lot of about post ideas. I'm going to talk later on why that might be important to have, and then just a lot of metrics, because when we actually do this, we can actually fetch the data back from LinkedIn later on to actually keep track of how many likes, how many impressions, etc. did we get from this. That's a completely other webinar though, but I will talk about it in very short terms later on. So this is how it's done, but of course, this is not very nice to be working in. We're just gonna sit here and scroll. So I have made my default view, and instead I've made an item card view for it. So it might be a bit more easy to do. I also made a try before, so I actually tried this out, so everything works. So let's hope for, we are going to have a smooth webinar where everything just flows. So I have my Monday board set up, I have my fields, I have the things I need. Okay, now, what are we gonna do to actually start automating this? So basically, we're gonna make two scenarios tonight. One is for actually creating the content, and one is for posting the content, so our scheduling function, basically. Tonight, we're going to build the post now function, but I'm going to explain to you how you turn that into a schedule function. So, and we're going to do it in very, very simplistic terms, and then we are going to switch to a bit more built-out example where you can see a bit more that's been happening. So the first thing I need to do is basically hop on to Make. And we can see here, I have a demo space. So let's create our first scenario. So I just hop onto my Make account, click this big purple button up here to create a new scenario. And then off we go to races. And the first thing we're going to do here now is that we're going to get some information from Monday from a trigger point. You remember that generate content button? That's going to be our trigger for tonight's example. So the first thing I do is I search for my Monday, I find Monday, and now we're going to need to find the web hook. So that's called watch events in Monday. So basically, That's the one. Now I'm going to need to add a completely new webhook to this. If you have not logged in before or have ever done that, you're going to need to add your connection onto Monday here. That's simple as pie. You click add and fetch your API key from Monday. So you need to be an admin in your Monday account. So in the admin section, fetch your API key, paste it in here, save, you're done. You have a connection. I have already pre-prepped, so I have mine. Now, this generates a URL for me. This is what I need. So I'm just going to copy that to my clipboard. I'm going to skip back onto Monday, and now let's create our webhook or send the data. So if I scroll down here, I popped into my integrations, and we can see I can find my webhooks down here. So we're going to send this as a webhook. And since this is a button, so when a column changes, send a webhook. And the press of a button in Monday is a change to that column. So let's use that. Basically, since this is our actual account, there's a ton of different webhooks already going here. So I'm just going to make a new one. So use another account. I'm going to paste my URL in there and connect. Then Monday asked me which column, basically. So we're going to do that. I'm going to find my generate content. That's the correct one. Perfect. And then I'm going to add to board. Perfect. What do I need to do now? Well, I actually need to pop into Make because we need to get the schema. So basically the structure of the webhook information. So what I do to do that is I go in here, I just click run once. I can also right click on that module. I go back and let's trigger this post. We can use this one. So great content. We can see it's green, so it has actually got the information. We can also see the bubble up here. So we can see now we have got some information. Well, we don't get that much information from this. So what we'll actually need to do to get our prompt material, so our topic in this case, is actually we need to fetch the full information of that item row. Okay. So what we'll do is we go back on, create another module. It's still a Monday module. And now it's a get command. So I search for get and it's get an item. Just get that one. Make is nice enough to pre-select my connector for it. And then I need to tell the ID of the item I'm actually trying to fetch. But this, of course, we're going to do dynamically. I can type in a number, but then that's going to be static. So instead, I fetch the dynamic value from the webhook, and it's the pulse ID we are looking for. And the pulse ID basically comes from Monday. Once upon a time, very long time ago, was called the pulse. So it's actually a piece of company legacy still left in the API. So let's steal that. I just clicked it. It pops in. In this case, I don't have any parent item. I don't have any sub item. So I can just turn them off. Doesn't really matter. Then let's fetch the information again. So I run the whole scenario once more, just to see if we can get it. Boom. Click it. And let's pop back into Make. And yeah, as you see, Make is speedy. So it has already run, and we have gotten some information here. So now we can see we have a bit of a different data structure in here. And what we're actually looking for is found under our mappable column values. So if I open that up, you can actually see now we've got something in here. So for the long text, for example, oh, that's the wrong long text. So here, I had preset a topic, and we can see it has actually fetched that. I also run this before we started this webinar where I actually generated the text. So we can see it's fetched that as well. Perfect. So far, so good. We have the information we need. Now, hopefully, we have already created our account at OpenAI or platform.openai.com. And then we can just go in and add them out the module. So OpenAI. Awesome. Here we go. ChatGPT, Whisper, and DALL-E. And what we need to do here is to create a completion. So we do that, create a completion. In here again, I have already set up my connection, but it's basically you press add, you get your API key from platform.openai.com, and also your organizational ID. If you can't find this, it's because it's not stored with the API keys. It's actually stored separate. So if you press your organization in the settings menu, you will find it. It's there. It's in a grayed out box. You can just copy it and paste it in here, and you're up to snuff. But I've already done all of that. So basically, the first thing I now need to do is to create what GPT model am I going to use. Oh, sorry, there's the model. And yeah, I've got access to number 4, so why not use that? So let's choose ChatGPT 4, and then I'm gonna add my role. And so here's a few things to have in mind. We can prompt, and we can actually leave several prompts in. What I tend to do, which tends to yield better results, is that actually I start with a system prompt where I basically tell the system who we are. So, for example, we are Omnitas Consulting, a Monday.com and make platinum partner. We have offices in Stockholm, London, Copenhagen, and Oslo. We are just great. Then I actually want to leave my topic, which I in, so my actual prompt. So here you can prompt in who's your company, of course, be more specific than I've been here, work with your prompts, test them out, see what works, what gives you the best results. Then I actually add one more prompt, and here I'm going in as the user. This is equal to if you use ChatGPT and you go in and type in the chat box. That's a user input. That's what we're going to do now. So basically, I'm going to write a prompt here. So please write me a LinkedIn post, and you can, of course, depending on what you need here, use different posting and prompts on the topic of colon. Then we're actually going to fetch our data from Monday. So you remember, I had already put in a webinar about blah, blah, blah. Yes, perfect. We're going to fetch that piece of dynamic data and our quote, so really make it clear for ChatGPT what's the topic we want. Then we can prompt it a bit more, and we can say, make sure to be professional, but not boring. Make sure to end start it off with a great book to capture attention. So on and so forth. So basically work with your prompts. The more specific you are with your prompt and the more information you give the AI, the better material you will receive. So, of course, this is not a very long prompt, not very extensive. So we'll see what we get. But we'll look in my later examples if we can't get something better. So now we can actually run this and see if we get a completion. So let's run it again. And actually, you know what? Let's make a new one. So I just make a new line here, hop on, and I get my prompting in here. So we are right now having a webinar about AI integration into Monday.com with the help of Make. Join. And let's generate that one. So now let's pop back into Make and see what's happening. So we can see it has already fetched the information, and it's now actually the AI is working. So this actually takes some seconds to do. So depending on the prompt size and the queue into the OpenAI's API, this might take a few seconds. And basically, it's going to do the same thing as if you're using the everyday normal interface. It's actually going to type everything out. But you're not going to see anything until it actually leaves a response. And look at that. It has left a response for us. So now we can click the bubble and see. And actually where we go is choices. And we have one. And then we have the message and the content. And look at that. We have actually got a text in here. Awesome. But now, of course, we want to have this back into Monday again. So that's the next thing. Let's add another module. Let's add a Monday. And it's actually this one on top here. Update the column values of a specific item. That's what we want to do. Remember, we had a long text column that were there to receive the AI generated content. So this looks a bit different because now I need to choose which board where I'm going to put it, basically. And social media, it's this demo one over here. And then an item ID. I can choose a static value of the 1 and 2. Those are the ones that exist. But of course, that's a rather bad idea because then it will always bring the generated content back into the same item. So instead, we're going to actually toggle this mapping function on and then put in the ID that we had. So now, since module number 1 and 2 talks about the same item, it doesn't matter if I get it from here or if I actually scroll all the way down and get the pulse ID from the original post. Doesn't really matter. So your choice. Then we're going to tell it what to put in and where. So let's add something to put in. Let's choose our content. So we have the content text. There we go. That's a long text field or a paragraph if you use a other than English translation of Monday. Now we need to put in what should go in there. And of course, we go back in here. So we go choices, message, and then we have the dynamic content. So we put that in there. And then, OK. And if we add this now, so we start everything, we go back here, we start it. Now we just have to wait for it to finish. Can check upon it in Make. And it's going to chug along for a few seconds here and then give us an output in Monday. So we'll see. Awesome. And it's completed. It's put the information in Monday. So let's check Monday. Go back into our item. And look at that. We have something to post. And of course, as I said before, it's an AI. It's not a human being. We just might want to check up on it. So of course, let's read through this and have a check. But now we at least have a draft, something to work out from, save a lot of time. So we can do that. And then when we're done, we can approve it. That turns us on to the next part of tonight, which is actually, we're going to need to post this as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop into Make. We can actually, when we feel that we're done with this, we just toggle this little fella down here. We can actually turn it live. Now I don't need to press run once anymore. It's actually going to just start listening for any commands coming in through that webhook. Then probably should name it to something clever so I know what it is. I'm going to save that one. I'm not going to name it now. And let's create one more scenario in Make, and that's for posting purposes. So let's go into our scenario builder again. And the first thing we're going to do is, of course, Monday. So because that's where our information originates. And we're going to do that watch event again, because we're going to use the other button this time. So we go on to watch events and add a webhook. Boom. I can, of course, name it, which Smart to do. I didn't know, but this is a demo account, so I'm a bit sloppy on that one, but do name your webhooks. Much easier to find them later on. Copy my address, hop back onto Monday, close this one, and let's add a new integration. Scroll down, find my webhooks, and this is the same because it's a button, so it's a column change yet again, but as you can see, you have a wide variety of different trigger points to actually send a webhook. So you can really have some fun here, so please do experiment with what suits you. I just shoot a button because it's easy. Add another account again, paste that in, and Bob's your uncle. Now we just need to find post now, so that's the button we're looking for. And I'm gonna add to Word. So now we have that. Now we need to do that dance again, so we need to get the schema from it. So run once, and let's go, post now. Look at that, getting the information instantaneously. Awesome. Yet again, now we actually need the content because right here, right now, I don't get that much information. I just know that it's this item and that the button, which is named post now, was pressed. That's basically it. I get the hour of the day and so on and so forth. So, but now I need that Monday module again and go get. And I need to get the item. So basically retrieve fetched information, right? And need to map it in. So it's my pulse ID once again. Don't have any parents or subs, so let's not even bother the system with it. Okay, and let's try it again. There we go. And yet again, post. And boom, boom. It's getting our information, and now we should be able to see it. Yeah, nice. We're getting some information in here. So here we have my prompt, and here we have that lovely piece of content. So what do we do with it? Well, post it. Of course, like I'm going to show you in a bit, when I show you a more built out scenario, we can have a lot of different routing and different kinds of complexity to this, but let's keep this simple. So let's just add a LinkedIn module in this case. Just search for LinkedIn. As we can see, LinkedIn have several different APIs in here. So we have everything from lead gen forms to ads reports, everything basically. In this case, we're just going to go with old and trusty LinkedIn pure. So what we will see here is that we have a fair few number of different endpoints, as we're calling them, so modules, and that we can use. And you can see that they are categorized. So we have for users up here on top, and we have then organizations. So basically, if it's your own, so if it's Fredrik Kastenholm, it's my profile I'm going to post to, that's user content. If it's Omnitas Consulting's company page, that's an organization. Kind of self-explanatory, but just want to put it out there. In this case, we're going to use my own profile as a test. So let's create a text post in this case. As you can see, we can have image posts and video posts as well. So depending on what type of different kind of post you have, you might want to build different routes. I'll show you later on. But in this case, let's go with a pure text post. I have already created my connection. This is easier than the two last because the only thing you need to do is click add, and then you will get a pop-up window and you log on to LinkedIn, and then you're done. So really, really easy. They've done everything for you, basically. So here we can see we have the content. So what's the content being posted? Of course, we're going to fetch it dynamically. So not a bit long code or anything. We just go here to long text. And then we fetch that content, hammer it in there. Then there are a few things in here we can add to this. So we can actually choose that this is an article which can contain links and stuff like that. And you can get like those previews of links. We don't have that right now, but can be done. So you basically just go and you add your URL as well. But I'm going to leave this empty. Then we can choose, is this going to be publicly visible or only to my connection, so on and so forth. Same as you can do on when you're on LinkedIn. Let's do public in this case. And then the feed distribution, so is this in the main feed or whatever. And of course, we can also block this content from being reshareable. Why Would you want to do that? I don't know, but there might be use cases for it. So I'm done. Press OK. And one thing here is if you later on would like to be able to draw statistics on your LinkedIn post, we actually have one more step to do. Because when we create the post here, it will get an ID number. And that is really nifty for us to retrieve and put back into Monday, because then we can call that and see how it fares. So let's do that before we run anything. So let's add something more. We're actually going to go with Monday, and here we're going to update a column value. So there, like before, we need to choose the board, social media, and it's the demo one. Perfect. And then let's map it back to the item where it came from. So let's go there. Then tell the system what is it we want to change. It's the column called post ID. And what do we want to input it with? Oh, actually, as you can see, even without this have been run, it knows from the start it will generate a post ID. So let's steal that one and put that number in there, because then it gets really easy for us afterwards to retrieve the data from it. And then, okay, we're done. Should we try to run it? Let's see. Running it. And let's go post now. And meanwhile, I'm going to open a new tab here and go LinkedIn. Let's see. I'm going to go to my own here. Look at that. It has already come. And this is the content we just created, my friends. It's on LinkedIn. Awesome, isn't it? So now we know how to generate content and how we can post it on LinkedIn. Of course, we might want to do this by scheduling instead of going and clicking a button, right? So what we would do instead with that is basically we would remove this one trigger over here, and we would go into our Monday section, and we would go to list, and we should go to list items, list boards items, actually. There we go. We can put a limit on it because we can have many in a day, right? So let's go with 500. That's an awesome amount, I think. Then choose which board they should come from, and it should be the demo board. And here we can actually specify some columns. So, for example, I would like to know the status of these items, because that's what I'm going to filter on, because I'm only going to allow approved ones to be published. So if they're already at the status published, they're already published. Let's not publish it once again. And if they're not approved yet, well, they're probably not controlled enough. So let's go with that. And also let's fetch the publish date. So publish date, because I only want to let through what's actually up for today, right? So basically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fetch those. And now if I right click on here and I choose run this module only, you can see it now fetched our 2 items, and we also got the status and the date on them. And here we can see this one had no date, but this one had. So what I would do then is I would actually run a filter here where I say that only the ones that have a status that is equal to approved, and where the date, for example, where the date is, let's go with a dateline operator, equal to, and let's go in here. And then you can see up here I have different tabs, and this one is my time operator. So it's might be hard for you to see on my screen right now, but it actually looks like a calendar. So self-explanatory when you get in and toy with it yourself. And then we can actually go like this. So what we will do is we will format the date. We will, in our first argument, put in the actual date, which is now. today, but I will remove all the timestamps from it and just go like that. So basically the date of right now. If you're American, you have probably been turning these numbers around. So please use it to your own national specifications, basically. But so I build a filter, and that's the only things I will let through. Pause here. So, and then we can see now, before I had a lightning bolt here, now I have a timer or a clock. So if I press that one, we can go, how often should this run? So this isn't now run on a trigger. This is actually run on a timer instead. So now we can set it at, so for example, run every day at what time? And then it will check and post what you have at that time. You can, of course, also start experimenting with this, have it run multiple times in a day and checking what's in there right now. And we can also work with timestamps and stuff like that. So we can really experiment and get into it if you are one of those companies or one of those persons who post multiple times a day. So that's basically what we do. We have a few different options here, so that's basically what we play with in here. We also have an advanced options, so that you can play with. But that's basically how easy it is to make that scheduling effect. We use this list board item, so basically give me all of the items, then we basically only let pass what is approved in this case and what has the time of day today. So we make sure that we don't post yesterday's things or tomorrow's things today. And then we let it through. Now then, these have been very, very simplistic scenarios. And of course, you should go in here, you should play with it, you should experiment with it. But I want to leave you with how this might be looking more when you have built things out. So I will go along and try to explain what we've actually been doing here. So let's first look at the LinkedIn post writer. So I built this out earlier. So like we can see here, we have a trigger event going on here. So that comes from that button. The get item is the same. So it's the exact same start to what we did before. But then we actually have a router built in. So there's a split here. So different things can happen depending on what information we have. So if I'm zooming in a bit so you can see, so we can see if this, you remember I had a toggle or a status in Monday, which was basically telling us, is this a personal LinkedIn post or is this a company one? So this is where that split happens. So basically, I've made a filter here that only lets through what is company. So, and of course, the prompts do differ a bit. And here I have the same, but it needs to be a personal one. Then basically the rest of the things are almost the same. It's more or less this module in here. So you can see it's called get a user. So here I basically retrieve who did this post. So it knows if it's me or if it's one of my colleagues, Gustav or Erica or Philip or Lee or Robbie or Curran in the UK. So basically that, fetching who is it? Because I'm using that information in the prompt. So if we take a look at the actual prompt in here, so we have a system message. So this is that first part. Basically, I'm telling the system, who's Omnitas? What do we do? So it has all of that information and can use that for creating my content. So as you can see, it's rather more hefty than what we did. It's well plotted out. And then I have my user argument in here. So act as the, and then basically title, you can see it starts blinking here. So find the title of the person who is actually posting. So for me, for example, the co-founder and CRO at Omnitas Consulting, Fredrik Kastenholm. So it basically finds the name as well. Keep a professional but still pleasant, fun-loving and friendly tone of voice. Use UK English when you write. So of course, amend this to your own. So if you are Dutch, do it in Dutch. Or rather, actually, do it in English anyway. So because we have found that doing an original prompt in English and then translating it actually gives you a better result. So whatever, do it in English, then translate it. And this scenario actually translates as well. So then we see, write a LinkedIn post on the topic of mapping in my content. Be sure to start with a nice hook, bringing people's attention, and with a call to action, which you formulate from the following idea. So in here I actually have, you maybe remember that we had in Monday. So let's put that up in here. So we can see I have my prompts and I have my call to action idea as well. So I'm basically bringing that information in as well. That can be a link or comment down below or yeah, whatever. So depending on what you want to do, right? Let's hop back on to, that make. Then I've actually put in, it should not be longer than basically 1,900 characters. And then I've given it some furthermore information. Great. Then I basically have a route again, because as you might remember, I had a language selector as well. So because Omnitas, as you know, we have offices in a fair few places around Europe or Northern Europe. So we can actually choose which language it's going to do. So if I would have chosen Swedish here, for example, my native language, it would actually take this route and it would go in and basically, please translate the below text into what language, and this will just say Swedish, and then the text to be translated, that's basically the result of the before prompt. So we're basically just feeding that forward. Then I do some nifty stuff where I actually save everything as a Google Doc. So I basically have a record of everything that's been created, because at times we also recreate certain things. And then, of course, I'm putting it back onto Monday again. So basically we can see here, putting in contact text. I'm creating a doc in my case as well, and stuff like that. So, but that's next level things. And then I actually, because I found it pleasant to read this, not only from the column view, but also from the update view. So I actually used a Monday column. So you can see it's called create an update, where I basically bring on the content in my update field. So the comment section in Monday. And that's kind of it. And that's basically a bit more blotted out, and we can of course have different kind of things. Then you might be asking, well, Fredrik, what's this last thing over here? Well, as you can see, I've named it myself, create an error update. And that is what we call, so if I press here, so we can see, this is what we call a fallback route. So if my information can't pass through any one of these two, it will take this route. And basically, that means for it to be unable to go through one of these, you haven't selected, is this a personal or is this an Omnitas kind of post? And I have this because I want to force my colleagues to basically select one of them. So we know, so it's intentional, not by happenstance. And then it will basically, if it can't find a way, it will then generate a message just saying, your GPT request was not executed. Please choose whether it's a personal post or if you're posting as Omnitas Consulting by switching the corresponding status. That's kind of it. And that's going to be popped in as an update, so it's noticeable by the user. So you get an error message basically telling you something hasn't gone as you thought it should. Then we also have one more, and that's also, of course, the post now. So as you can see, yeah, there's a bit more happening here. And this is because now I've brought in the different LinkedIn types of posts. So we can see we have with a link or as an image or as a video. But let's take the video as example now when we have that on screen. So basically, same thing goes here. We have our trigger at the start. So that's you pressing that post now button. Then I actually have something in here, and this is a piece of trickery which we use quite a lot at Omnitas. And this is basically, whoa, let's scroll up because it's all the way up here. this is a piece of code that will let you check how much of the capacity of the Monday API is available right now. So because all APIs basically have a limit of how many calls they will handle within a given period of time. In Monday's case, it's a so-called complexity limit that can handle a complexity of 10 million every minute. So it starts from you are making your first call, then you have a complexity budget of 10 million, then that starts depleting depending on what you do, and in 1 minute time it will reset. So basically what I'm doing here is I've written a piece of JSON code. Basically, I made a query into Monday saying, because there is no module for this, basically asking it, what's the complexity and when will it reset? That's what I'm asking here. That's as easy. Then if I have a filter here, we can see I have a filter here. If the limit is less than 400,000, because that's approximately what this will require, or yeah, it's not going to take even that, but I want to be on the short side, okay? So if the limit is less than 400,000 out of 10 million, then we're going to activate a sleep. So this is a tool in Monday. You can find it here in the toolbox. See, we have a sleeper function. And then I basically say, well, in X amount of seconds, so that's what's coming in here, plus a random variation. This can as well just be +1, actually. +1, then sleep until then, basically. Then what will happen is, so we had 2 little complexity budget left. It will go up in here. It will sleep for example, 20 seconds +1, and sleep, sleep, sleep. When it's done sleeping, it will then continue the scenario. And then we get into where we were, the get item. Now, fetch and retrieve the information. And then we have a different routers here. So basically trying to figure out, where am I going to send this information? Was it a Facebook post? Was it a LinkedIn post? Was it an Instagram post, etc.? And then what type of Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram post? Because all of them work kind of similarly. So you have one endpoint for image postings and one for text postings, and so on and so forth. So in here, if I switch to my Monday board, you can see here, I actually choose what type is it. How do I want to post this content? Awesome. And we have a question. And Alexander, he was asking, will you share the Monday dashboard and the JSON of these automations? Yeah, sure, Alex. I will make sure that all of you get both a file so you can download, so you can basically use what we have here, start to experiment a bit, and I will send you that piece of JSON code. Very simple. So back on to make. Sorry, choosing the wrong one all the time. So, and then it basically chugs along here. And as you can see, I've built this out, so it's fairly big and it grows every time. And what's actually happening in here as well, if you can see here, this is where the route it takes. So the first check it makes, is this for Omnitas? Or is this for my colleague Philip? Or is this for me? Because me and Philip, we don't post on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. At least not for work. We might do from a personal standpoint, but not for work. So they only contain LinkedIn stuff. And here you can see, here the router comes in. Is it a video? Is it an image? Is it a link? We can actually see here, here's actually a fun bit, and I'm using a Buffer account. Buffer is a free-to-use software, at least on a very low plan, and that's what I'm using it for. And I am using that because I have found it gives you better link previews if you go through that rather than going directly with the LinkedIn module itself that's built in. That's why I'm using it. I think it looks nicer, works better, and it's completely free to use. The only thing you need is a Buffer account, buffer.com. Seems to be doing a rather good work. And that's basically it. And then, of course, on the Omnitas side, it has all the Instagram and Facebook stuff as well. So you can see there's 2 different routes for LinkedIn posts, and there's a couple of different routes for Facebook posts as well. And of course, there is in my real live scenario version, there's also one that starts with that listing function instead. So I'm basically picking out the items that I need to post, not only the ones where I've actually pressed the button. So we have that full automation running. And that's pretty much it. So let's go back into the presentation. Let's put that up. And now we're in that time where it's time for questions and answer. Haven't gotten that many questions yet that I feel we haven't answered, but this is your time to shine, people. So please post your questions. I will make sure that we answer them. So give that a bit of time so people have some time to write something. Let's see here. See. Okay, we no questions coming in, so I'm guessing everything is clear. Now there's a question actually from Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Long time no see, mate. Do you have a good resource for structuring ChatGPT prompts? There are a few. Actually, I did one of those things where I actually bought one or two of those prompt packages. My top tip: don't. They weren't very good. Was my. There are some really good YouTube videos on it, actually talking a lot on how to structure it, how to build it. I had a lot of use from it. And I will make sure that we do a blog post on it and keep you up to date so we can send that out to you, because all of you are on our newsletter as well. So we'll make sure to have a blog post about that so we can share some of the resources we have used to learn. But actually, a lot of it is experimentation and trying to what we see. But there are some structures to it, and there's actually a lot of really good YouTube videos and blog articles and stuff on how to structure your prompts. But we'll make sure that we'll create something as well to share our knowledge with you. That's about it. I think we had one more poll for the day. So let's pop that as a final. So how useful do you think this could be to implement into your workflow? Will this help you, or rather, would this be useful? So it's not a graded scale. It's would this be useful, or is this like, nah, nice to see what you can do, but I don't think it's for me. Yes, I'm happy. There's only yeses coming through so far, so that makes me really happy. And with that, folks, we're at that time where it's time for this webinar to end. And I hope you had a great time. It was great for me to see all of you again. I hope to see you next time. So be sure to look into both our webpage, omnitas.com, or video.omnitas.com, where you'll find all our upcoming webinars, and make sure to sign up to the ones that gets you fancy, basically. Hope to see you soon. Have a really good night. Take care. Bye.